We got Wendy here, we got Tim here, we got Nick here, all the voices you want to hear about a trade that could transform the NBA for years to come. Kevin Durant requesting a trade from the Brooklyn Nets. General Manager Sean Marks is working with KD and Rich Kleiman, his business rep, to find a trade partner. So if this is the end of KD and Kyrie, then it's fair to say that it did not go according to plan, including the playoffs. The two played a total of 58 games together across 3 seasons out of 247 scheduled games. And most importantly, of course, they won just one playoff series together. So KD coming here with a grand plan to come with Kyrie and win a championship out of the shadow of the Warriors, and it's all blowing up 18 months after the big three came together. How do we get here, Wendy?
You know, I think it was the way the last season ended. The Nets organization decided that they were not going to run it back. And then you had Kyrie, when he opted into his contract, saying, we're going to run it back. And that, even though that wasn't the only thing that happened, it was the breaking point. And Kevin Durant was the one who ended up pulling the ripcord here. But it could have well been the Nets. The Nets might have gotten to a point where they wanted to break them up anyway. Maybe not this week, but I don't think they could stomach the concept of bringing them back. And the reason that got to that point is a multi-layered situation with multiple people involved in it. But it was clear the Nets could not stomach the concept of having another season where they were, being left by the whims of Kyrie Irving, and that affected and really infected everything that was going on.
I mean, you said there were 2 tentpole dates in this one that you talked about in our meeting this morning, that you can really bookend this story.
Yeah, I think you could sum everything that's happening right now back to 2 dates. In October, when the Nets said to Kyrie Irving, you either need to be all in or all out, and either get the vaccine or not play at all. He chose to not play at all, sending a clear message that he was going to do what he thought was best for him and not the team, unlike Andrew Wiggins in Golden State, for example. And then in December, in the middle of December, when the Nets brought Kyrie Irving back in the middle of the season, when, by the way, we all forget they were in first place in the Eastern Conference and rolling along, and things were great. They bring back Kyrie Irving. 6 weeks later, James Harden's gone, and that's the beginning of this thing, as you said earlier, going kablooey.
Yeah, Nick Friedell, he lived this thing day to day. Nick, I want to get your perspective after we talk to Woj really quick, because Woj is available to us. And Woj, obviously, this could be a transformational trade for any team. It could make a team a title contender immediately. So what is the very latest on trade talks as we know it this morning?
Yeah, Hannah, the volume of calls and really the ferocity of the inquiries over the last 18 hours or 15 hours, however long it's been since the trade request was made. It's been unlike, I think, teams on both sides, both the Nets and those who would like to be involved in getting Kevin Durant have experience in the league, because there simply hasn't been a player like Kevin Durant available for trade with 4 years left on his deal, and certainly, at or very close to the apex of his talents. And so I think for Brooklyn, they'll take some time here to sort through, I think, the variety of the kind of directions they can go. Is it going to be, young players in draft picks? Is it going to be picks and a veteran all-star who could come in and plug in with Ben Simmons and Patty Mills and Joe Harris and that team and still have, a very good team? I think all of those avenues are available to Brooklyn, and there's no shortage of suitors and teams who, some teams said to me, we called back and countered off our first offer, upped it without even Brooklyn countering us. That's not how any of us normally do business, but nobody wants to be left having not offered enough, and Brooklyn does a trade somewhere else and they don't get a chance at KD.
Yeah, and keep in mind, the reason we're talking about picks so much, obviously, for those at home who may not remember that they traded their picks to acquire James Harden, who, of course, is now in Philly. And listen, we know that KD tied his fates to Kyrie Irving here in New York. So what does all of this mean for Kyrie?
Yeah, listen, I think they may not move in the same deal. I think that remains to be seen. I think that's less likely. There's a much shorter list of teams who would be interested in Kyrie Irving, but there will be interest. There is interest in him. I think that's a different process. I think that's nobody has to think very hard about whether KD fits in if they can make a trade. But I think certainly with Kyrie Irving in the last year of his contract, there are going to be opportunities for trades for Irving. But I think, listen, for this Brooklyn organization, the two of them were obviously very tied together. They came in together. KD wanted to help Kyrie Irving get that contract extension that he didn't get this year in Brooklyn. But I think the market for Kyrie Irving, that may play out in a little different way, especially as some teams get out of free agency. Other trades they might make fall through. Free agents may leave their team and they look and they say, could we assimilate Kyrie Irving into our team? I just think that's a different process and a different conversation than the all-out pursuit of offering up, your best assets for Kevin Durant.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.